This is Big Business with Sarah. This podcast guides you to finding what you desire most in life and business, because running a business is very much about your personal development. In this podcast, I'm sharing what my clients ask me and how I help them. Thanks for joining. Welcome back to this podcast. I'm so happy you are here. And last week the mastermind started and they started off great. Actually, I think already right now I have enough questions lined up for my upcoming episodes of the next 3 months because the group is lit and there's very many very nice, ambitious entrepreneurs inside. And you know, one of the first questions that popped up into the group was, how do I know if my new product or service is going to sell? You know, imagine you're spending a lot of time on that, creating it, but actually not really being sure if it's going to work. So the first thing I said, yes, you have to build in public. And then I thought I have to explain myself a little bit more. So I gave them access to a few trainings. But I also wanted to share this with you as my podcast listener, because I think many people actually read this on LinkedIn, yes, or on a blog post or hear it in a podcast, but actually don't know how. And that's why I wanted to create this episode. So building in public really is making people a part of your story. And so this is what I'm advising my clients all the time once they want to try something new. Could be something really small, you know, maybe for instance, a very small training, or it could be really a different part in their business. So I want to give an example first. For example, you're working in a flower business and you want to build in public. Then you don't want to say, you know what, buy all my flowers today. Actually, you think this sounds ridiculous, but I'm seeing this on LinkedIn each and every day. People saying, hire me and or, you know, hire me as a freelancer or whatever, not giving any value to possible clients, having, you know, they have no idea actually what they can help you with, what you can help them with. And you're just saying, you know, buy this from me. And by the way, it's 100,000 euros and maybe you can pay in 2 terms. So if you're a florist and if you're working in the flower, or if you're working in the flower business, you might come up with little content, little pieces that is going to show you, your clients, your love for the business. So for instance, you can have a special flower of the week, including the history of the flower and its origins, which famous royal celebrity really loved that specific kind of flower, which season the flower is in its bloom, and how to arrange that flower with other flowers. Or, for instance, give a free Instagram live on how to make flower arrangements. Actually, I would love to see that, you know, to get some sort of basic mini course. Or maybe you can teach your audience how to start with Ikebana. I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but I received a very nice book about, you know, this flower art. And I've never actually tried it, but I actually flicked through the pages. So if you do this, people will recognize you for your love for flowers, and it will be contagious. People will want to buy from you. And I wonder if you would actually rather work with someone who is never posting anything, or actually shows that they really love what they are doing, and you know, showing that they know a lot about it. You don't actually have to really be a specialist or an authority, but just show your love. And yeah, I mean, who would you rather work with? And there's still so much opportunity right there in the social media space. You know, I see there's a lot of content and a lot of it is bad. Also, mine isn't perfect. You know, working on it, but yeah, there's so much opportunity there. And actually, you know, if you're afraid of the competition, this is really the way how to beat it. So some people, you know, in this process have come up to me and said, I don't need to create content. I have enough clients. And then my question is, yes, but are they your ideal clients? Imagine you're working with clients you can attract from your content. Aren't those people perfect? How attractive would that be? And in today's episode, I am revealing how you can start building in public and how you can actually have fun with it. So one great example online, in my opinion, is the Ritz London. They don't need any publicity. Anyone who has seen any British movie, like for instance Notting Hill, knows the Ritz. They don't need to have more publicity, but they anyway really create great content. I want you to check out their reels on Instagram, and it is actually exactly what you would expect and experience if you were in the hotel, with their music, the flowers, beautiful cutlery. Everything is just pretty, and everything just really fits their brand. And I want you to look at it also from your own perspective. Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, Sarah, are you creating content? Are you afraid?" Or I think you're creating content because you need more clients. Yes, I do. I always do, because I have a scalable offer. And so, I can create as much clients as I want. But there's kind of this idea that you don't need advertising or you don't need content, if you're really good. But actually, I don't believe that. I think you can always, be present and top of mind of your clients, and you're actually helping your clients with great content out there, and you're inspiring them as well. So for instance, I had one client who worked with me until September and last year, and she said that she's still so very inspired by my content. I mean, isn't that great? She knows exactly, what I have to say. Of course, it's always developing, but she still is inspired, and I'm that's one of my brand values. I want to help and inspire people to create the business of their dreams. So how does this exactly work? So I'm first going to be a little bit theoretical here. So how does marketing, attracting people through your content really work? In 1898, E. St. Elmo Lewis developed a model that mapped a theoretical customer journey from the moment a brand or product attracted consumer attention to the point of action or purchase. And this idea is called the AIDA model. So it's an acronym that stands for awareness, interest, desire, and action. And it's actually drawn in a funnel. So it means, the awareness part is the biggest part. And then it kind of goes down to a much smaller part, actually, and those are your buyers. So this model, whilst it's over 100 years old, this is still very applicable to modern day marketing. So your customer journey, for instance, is going from followers to tribe. So followers are just your followers. Tribe are people who are actually really who are engaging with your content, to conversion. Those are people that are interested, in a sales conversation, and then actually to buyers. And, it's called a funnel because less and less people, will fall people off that bandwagon until they actually buy from you. And this is also one of the reasons why you don't really need that many followers to have a six-figure business, right? So this is what I'm also sometimes hearing. I don't have a lot of followers on this or that platform. So for instance, my following on Instagram is quite small, but on LinkedIn it's much bigger. So that also doesn't really matter too much. It's really about, the quality of your content and how you're being interactive with your followers. And so for the past 15 years, online marketing was about this. For example, this is a true story for me, you want to write a project plan or something that you need a template of, which I did. I was a project manager, but I was always looking for the best looking project plan. So I always, looked up different kinds of plans online. And for instance, I went to get one for free, but then I would have to leave my email address. And then I would receive emails from a boring marketing agency, and I would unsubscribe. So this is called lead generation. This is an old form of marketing. This really comes from the idea that you need to have as much people in your following, or in your email list, actually, and then one by one they kind of fall off. And When I was just starting my online business, I also thought that I needed to have a funnel. So I set up my whole website with ConvertKit, cart flows, everything. But it's actually not really needed, especially when you're working also B2B, and I will tell you why. People right now, especially specifically in B2B, so B2B marketing is business to business, and then you also have business to consumer. So you can still, I believe you can still try to do this as, if you're having a business to consumer market. But I think it will also go to, the thing that I'm going to talk about next. So I think people more and more need quality before they leave their email address. So, yes, for instance, an interesting B2C concept is that if you click on someone's website from a fashion brand, and you will get a pop-up, and then they would say, subscribe to our email list for, your first 10% off. That is, for instance, one of the ways that you can actually build your email list. And I think that still really works in B2C. Anyway, people need quality before they leave their email address. They have to trust you. They have to desire you, from that funnel, from the AIDA model. They have to desire first before they're actually ever going to opt in. And opt in means leave their email address. So my message here is, instead of chasing clients, I want you to think about starting attracting clients. And creating content will attract people to you. Interesting content will attract people to you. And so the funnel model, which was created more than 100 years ago, is still very valid, but it will be with less and less gated content. And gated content means leave your email address here and that. So there's a new movement currently happening. Is actually, it's actually quite old, but it is actually going to be very big, I believe, is demand generation. So instead of lead generation, so your leads are your prospects, are people that you want to work with, that you're maybe also spending a lot of time on whilst they are never going to buy. I read somewhere that only 3% of your audience is ready to buy from you. So the other 97%, most salespeople that they spend their time on, is a waste because they're just not ready to buy. So demand generation is very much about creating demand instead of chasing leads. So how could this demand generation actually work for you? Because I want you to kind of experiment with that. I don't want to pretend like I'm a marketing guru, but I have worked in marketing for 15 years and I've seen everything happen. And and now I'm thinking, what? I'm thinking that demand generation is going to be the next best thing. So first, you have to figure out how much you want to sell of what. That's just where it all starts, right? You first need a sales strategy. By the way, you can find my sales strategy workshop easily through the link in the show notes. I will put it there. And you do not have to leave your email address. And then actually have a look at your conversion rate. How many people do you talk to now and how many people decide to buy? So then you'll know the conversion rate in sales. So that's more a sales part instead of marketing. So first I want you to have this sales goal. So, for instance, you want to make 100K. How much do you actually have to sell of your current packages, of your current offer, everything? You can find, how to do this in my sales strategy workshop. I'm helping you. It's a 20-minute video. It's very easy, very nice to follow, and for you to create your sales strategy for the upcoming year. So once you know your conversion rate, you know how many people you want to address with your content. And these could be followers on social media or your newsletter subscribers or your podcast listeners. And growing in public, building in public will offer you very high quality leads who are ready to buy from you. And you can always look at advertising, paid advertising, since the rules and costs in advertising are really sky high currently. And also, the European, at least the European rules are becoming more and more strict. But you know what? If you can afford advertising, go for it. But I'd really, first suggest that you talk to someone who is really specialized in advertising on Google or Facebook. But also, once you're creating content, you're also really creating a tribe. And Kris Jenner, you know her, Momager from the Kardashians. I've followed her masterclass. It's it's an online video show. Actually, really one of my big examples on production value. And Kris Jenner says she's very much in her masterclass pushing on creating a tribe and building trust or desire. And I truly believe that she's right. And actually, this is how the Kardashians got so big, is because they were really, starting a relationship with their clients. Actually, they didn't, maybe they actually did know, when they first started out. But what is so much the magic of the show is that they're also showing their shortcomings, because there's been many reality shows, right? But the Kardashians are just really, really popular. And because they are building that trust the whole time, because you believe them. For instance, there's also someone in the Netherlands who is a vlogger who unfortunately stopped, Monica Geuze, and she was also so very popular because she was so honest, and also because she kind of admitted her mistakes, or she was maybe sometimes a little bit dorky, and that's actually what people really, really like. And so, instead of, thinking, oh, marketing is all about advertising, no, actually it's not. It's very much about creating content that your ideal client wants. And it's very important for you to know what your ideal client wants. You can talk about things that you like, but ask your clients what they want. And I've created many podcast episodes about this, so I'm not going to roll too deep into this. But this is what I believe is going to be the future of marketing. So from lead generation, we're going to demand generation. So you're creating demand, attracting clients from where you are. And in that way, if your product is going to sell or not. And you know what? You can do polls, asking people, do you like this? Do you like that? Which, for instance, if you're going to write a book, do you like this title? Do you like that title? And people really make people a part of the story. So, for instance, back to the Kardashians, one of the reasons why Kim Kardashian got so big on social media was, I think on Twitter, she was asking, I'm going to a premiere or whatever party, should I wear this dress or this dress? And, making people a part of the conversation is really helping you grow. So if you really like this, and if you're interested in creating converting content, you can buy my training. It's 33 euros. It's a 1-hour training, and to really help you create content that fits your schedule, how to batch your content, and how to spend less time on creating your desired output and attracting your ideal client. You can find the training through the link in the show notes. I already gave you some explanation here, but it's a much deeper dive into how this can work for you. And now it's time for one of your questions.
Hi, Sarah. I'm joining your mastermind this month. Looking forward to it a lot. As you know, it's my goal to expand my freelancing activities and quit my day job. So I'm looking forward to it a lot, and I wish I could share it with everyone so people know what I'm doing and know I'm available for business. But at the same time, I don't want to offend my employer. So, should I tell my employer about this so I can be more vocal? Or do I keep it to myself until I'm actually in a position to quit? I guess what I'm trying to say is, when do you know it's the right time to quit your day job?
Yes, Thank you so much for this question. I really love this, and I recognize the struggle too. I mean, this also goes for people, I guess, who are looking for a job and, actually want to shout it from the rooftops, and that you're not able to actually do that because, you want to be loyal to your boss, or you don't want to be fired right away. So I'm hearing two questions actually. So I'm first going to I'm first going to dive into the content question. So a little bit, I want to answer this also because I have many questions lined up. Thank you very much, by the way, for everyone who is joining in on the conversation and sharing their questions with me. But so I wanted to have this question in this episode because it's a little bit, as I suggested in today's episode, but very specifically, check first, if there's anything in your contract about sharing your own opinions and views, of course. But I would also actually just start sharing about your life, documenting what you're doing, how you are building what you desire. So for instance, if you really want to start I'm just saying something, dolphin business, you can actually start sharing dolphin content on, well, maybe not on LinkedIn, but on Instagram, and, really show beautiful art about dolphins, or show, maybe a certain jump, but I don't think that's allowed anymore for dolphins, or, kind of share some facts about, the life of the dolphins. And, I'm kind of exaggerating because I'm not sure if anyone who listens to this does have a dolphin business. I don't know what it would look like, but it's just to share. And that's also why I shared the flower example earlier this episode, to kind of have you imagine. And this goes for anything, if you're interested in helping people with their marketing. So for instance, I really like, for instance, I'm sharing, a little bit of history of marketing, because I believe it's so important and I like it so much, and I see, what it can do for your business. So I'm also using that knowledge into my content. So you can do this too for your content, or if you're a photographer, maybe you can just share a photographer of the week, or maybe you are a desired interior decorator. Maybe you can share your favorite designer, or maybe have something like, furniture of the week, or maybe you're very much into female empowerment or body positivity, and share, inspiring stories, but that might be maybe a little bit too much work. Or maybe share, how it's done, internationally, how each law is, how each law is for women's rights, and kind of get the conversation starting. And maybe you also want to document what you're doing and show that you are building what you desire, instead of, just saying, I'm going to do this, for the rest of my life now, and, and you have to buy it, So I think that's my advice to you, is to not really say like, okay, you know what, now I'm going to do this, but just share, examples in your field that you like, struggles you face, etc., without ever saying that you need a new client or a new career. And in this way, you will attract your desired client, as I mentioned before, because people will see you as an authority, or at least someone who really loves it. And, once again, loving what you do is very contagious. So, for instance, for me, if you would put me on a stage, I could talk about, when I'm recording right now, I could talk about that all day, no problem. So, try to embody that loving, passionate person in your social media. And also another coaching question I want to ask you regarding, when you want to quit your job is, when are you sure you can step out? And, you never know for sure. So I also want you to write down as to what is the worst that could happen, once you're not getting maybe a new client immediately. And how much money do you need to actually be sure of yourself to jump? So is it 10K? Is it maybe clients for the upcoming 6 months, be very specific in this. And one of those things is, and I think that's a little bit of strange advice to give, but sometimes really your intuition really knows what to do. So deep down, you probably already know what to do. And, imagine all the free time you would have, once you quit your, full-time job or maybe your part-time job. And imagine what you could create. And, maybe even sometimes, and I'm not really sure, what your monthly costs are, but sometimes it's maybe even better to, not go out, every day of the week and just really enjoy what you're doing in your business. Sometimes you can choose, sometimes you hear people that are saying, I haven't been on a holiday for 10 years and now I finally made my first million. Well, I don't want to give you that advice, but sometimes it's probably still okay, to kind of maybe scrape some things in your standard. But this is kind of my backup advice. Maybe that works for you because, I believe in the idea of abundance, so I don't think it should be if, but I mean, sometimes it could actually help you to say, you know what, actually now I'm going to focus on what I really love. That means that I'm doing what I love during the day and I don't really need those nights out anymore because I'm having fun anyway. Now I have a question for you. So a little bit following the first section of the podcast is that I want to ask you is, what is a social media account that you really enjoy following and why? And I want you to analyze that account from top to bottom. Why do you like what they're doing? And also write down maybe what kind of things you can steal from them. Not exactly copy paste, but what you can steal from, for instance, the Ritz in my case. So I'm currently doing a rebranding. I'm doing an openly rebranding on Instagram this month because I personally really like, for instance, gracious opulence, and I want to show that more in my brand. And I created my brand right now, which I'm carrying right now at the beginning of last year, but I have had so much different coaching experience and I'm feeling like, I should really change that. And how can I, show up as the brand that I believe, really fits my offer and the quality that I offer my clients. So I'm taking loads of inspiration from the Ritz as well, but try to find your inspiration. That's why mood boards or vision boards are so important. So my question for you this week is, how can you do this for yourself? How can you show up as the example that you really like? So that's homework for this week. And there's a little PS that I want to place on Friday, February 17th. So if you're listening to this on the release, it's tomorrow. There is a 37-hour sale with a very nice secret surprise waiting for you. You can find more in the show notes. And why is that? Because it's my birthday. I'm turning 37 tomorrow, and I cannot wait to share this with you. Thank you so much for listening, and hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Big Business with Sarah. If you've enjoyed today's episode, leave a 5-star review and hit subscribe. If you're ready for your next step in business, you can find out how to work with me in the show notes. Do not forget to submit your coaching question for one of my next episodes. Have a happy day.